Tobago Carnival is 3 weeks away, but a budget is yet to be revealed. Economist Dr. Vanus James disappointed with the government's plan for economic growth. Politicians say the $3 increase in minimum wage is not enough, and the Division of Health hosts workshop to train workers in dealing with domestic and gender-based violence cases. Good evening, I'm Patricia Nicholson-Richards. This is the Tobago Updates television news for Wednesday, 4th October, 2023. In the news tonight, according to economist Dr. Vanus James, Monday's reading of the National Appropriation Bill 2024 lacked real measures to stimulate economic growth. He believes the increase in the minimum wage is a thinly veiled attempt to grow the economy without ensuring that systems are in place to support higher wages. More in this report from Candice Jackson.
Finance Minister Com Imbert presented a budget under the theme Building Capacity for Diversification and Growth without establishing the systems needed to achieve that goal, according to economist Dr. Vanus James. He believes the finance minister tried to mislead the population by boasting of a 3% GDP growth rate in the first quarter of 2023 and a projected growth rate of 2.7% for the next fiscal year.
Those projects stand almost no chance of moving the growth rate up to, say, 6%, which is what you would need to be doing to even keep up with China. And remember, if you're growing at 2.7% and the North Atlantic countries are growing at 2.7%, by 2030, they are somewhere near 60,000.
Yes.
And your 28,000 would be far from the goal.
Despite the finance minister's messaging of diversification, Dr. James argued that the $59 billion budget was not designed to stimulate the economy.
But $8 billion to education. But for what? For local education, to educate local people. Now, okay, we know that we're not even doing the best job there. But let's say we're going to redouble our efforts there. But that is far from being adequate if you're talking about developing the economy. You've got to be talking like Britain and the US and China and those places, education for export.
While assessing the current state of the workforce, Minister Imbert quoted data from the Central Statistical Office, which indicated that unemployment rate is 3.5%. However, Dr. James explained that the data is misleading the public because it does not address underemployment.
You might work all day in retail, low productivity activity, and development is about moving people from those low productivity activities into high productivity activities. If you listen to the minister, that understanding of development, even in terms of the way he dealt with the minimum wage, is completely missing.
The finance minister announced a $3 increase in minimum wage, raising it to $20.50 per hour to take effect in January 2024. This change affects over 190,000 people working in minimum wage positions. Dr. James says the figure equates to a stumbling block in the drive for economic stimulation.
But that would be somewhere in the region of at least 15 to 20% of the employed labor force. They're undereducated, they're employed in low-level activity. A large chunk of them are in what we call elementary occupations, especially here in Tobago.
Dr. James explains that until the government works with the private sector and provides the necessary incentives to improve productivity in the workforce, the increase in minimum wage will not yield a positive result in the economy.
Then what you're really doing is you're giving a loan to the minimum wage earners in anticipation of some kind of productivity growth later, or some windfall to fund it that you could kind of hand out to the businesses to pay this increased cost.
Candice Jackson, Tobago Updates Television News.
The General Secretary of the National Trade Union Center of Trinidad and Tobago, Michael Anisette, deems the new minimum wage as inadequate. He made these comments on the Tobago Updates morning show. Reporter Ariana Sipiu has the details on why he is dissatisfied.
Before evaluating the pros and cons of the minimum wage increase, President of NATUC, Michael Anisette, says the population must first understand what it really means. He explained that the minimum wage is a legally established minimum amount someone can be paid, which in most cases is not substantial.
We have been articulating and will continue to articulate that the question of living wages and decent wages must become part of the economic landscape of Trinidad and Tobago.
He expressed that society should not disregard the economic issues that minimum wage earners face and that they are the most vulnerable in our society. He also stated that the new minimum wage of $20.50 does not address those fundamental economic paradigms.
And the issue within the trade union movement is not if you increase the minimum wage. The issue is whether the minimum wage can address the economic realities that are facing those workers who work for the minimum wages.
Tobago experiences a higher cost of living than Trinidad, but the island's unique circumstances were not addressed in the budget. Anisette said that the economy is not just about figures, but also about the existence of people within the society, especially those who are vulnerable, such as single mothers and the youth. He highlighted that the disposable income available from being paid the minimum wage is not sufficient, especially with rising transportation and electricity costs making it unsustainable.
What the government is doing to address the high cost of living that the average citizen, the minimum worker, the workers, the government employees who have been offered 4% over 6 years, have to face for the last 10 years.
Anisette also raised concerns about the back pay that public servants will receive at the end of the year, questioning why the government opted to provide this during the Christmas season. He emphasized the need for labor movement to promote the development of a sustainable, productive and competitive economy while addressing income inequalities. Ariana Scipio, Tobago Updates Television News.
When Finance Minister Colm Imbil concluded his budget presentation on Monday, he assured the nation that they did not need to fear because it was designed to ease the pockets of citizens. However, the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Watson Duke, refuted the minister's claims and instead described the budget as one filled with deception. He pointed out the flaws among the incentives during a press conference at the party's headquarters in Scarborough, and reporter Candice Jackson tells us more.
A $3 increase in minimum wage is being touted as the government's big-ticket item announced in the national budget. However, the political leader of the PDP, Watson Duke, said the public should not be fooled into thinking it would benefit them in any significant manner.
$3 increase on your hourly salary. When one looks at the monthly salary, it's about $3,600. Of course, it is much better than what goes on now. But remember, what's happening now, it is total advantage.
In his opinion, the increase should match the current cost of living in the country.
And so today, I'm calling for a minimum wage throughout this entire country of nothing less than $5,000.
Duke strongly disagreed with the government's intentions to raise the retirement age from 60 to 65. He believes that such an increase puts seniors at risk, particularly those who may not be in the best of health as they get older. He also questioned why the government failed to increase pension rates.
In the real world, pensioners receive an increase every year, something that matches inflation. And if the government was so big on following world standards, they would have ensured all our pensioners would have received a minimum increase of what inflation would have taken away from them.
Turning his attention to public servants, the former PSA president called out the finance minister for attempting to influence trade unions by offering a $4,000 tax-free Christmas bonus to those who have settled wage negotiations for the 4% offer from the government.
So he used it to coerce them skillfully to say, others have signed on, thank you. And he inflated the figure to $1 billion in payout. $1 billion what? All fooling people. $1 billion sounds like a lot of money. But I say to you, it's a sad fate for those who have signed for the 4%.
The finance minister announced that allocations would be made to the national security to triple the police force. But Duke is skeptical about this decision.
Why the police? Because next year will be a level of crime fighting that is unprecedented, that will make the time of Burrows and the flying squad look like chili babies as the government makes a dash to restore law and order and bring crime down.
Candice Jackson, Tobago Updates Television News.
We'll take a short break and come back with more news. Stay with us.
So your car break down.
Oh, no, not again.
And you're worried paying a wrecker could mean a pocket breakdown too. But when you're insured with Tatil, no stress.
Yes!
A Tatil motor policy has lots of benefits that protect your pocket, like free roadside assistance. That's free 24/7 every time, as many times as you need. Tatil, where people are people. A member of the Ansa McCall Group.
Mount Pleasant Credit Union back to school loan promotion. Loans up to 15,000. Requirements: job letter and a payslip no more than 1 month old. Utility bill, copy of book list, salary deduction, 10% down payment for self-employed persons, evidence of income and expenditure, bank statement, 12 to 18 months, other supporting document. Promotion ends October 18. Contact us at 639-8375 or 8108 or check us out on www.mpcutobago.com or email us at loan@mpcutobago.com. Mount Pleasant Credit Union's back to school loan promotion.
Bad girl from Roxborough, Tobago, but if we go in your day clothes, I rate you. Grew up around good vibes and incense. Grew up in hard times that intense. Shut it as you're reaching at the dance. Use the topic as you're reaching at the dance. My girl, go and drop it as you're reaching at the dance. Making use of your talents when you balance back on the dance. Yes, yes. I know, baby. You want a man who take you serious. Not just beat and leave. You're fed up on the streets. Yes, yes, I know, baby. You want a man who take you serious.
Tobago Carnival, Caribbean Vibes presents Tequila Sunset. Tequila Sunset, October 27th. Scarborough Esplanade from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's a cooler fete like no other. Bring your squad and we'll take care of the vibe with your top TNT and New York DJs, surprise guest artists. Tequila Sunset will be an epic event you will never forget. Early bird tickets are $199 TT or $30 US. Get your tickets online on islandetickets.com or frontlineticketing.com. For more info, call 475-6218 or 754-7344. And New York, 917-561-9742. All drinks must be in plastic bottles and no ice or chaser allowed. Tequila Sunset, October 27th, Scarborough Esplanade.
We are going on a new journey. Tobago now has its very own carnival.
She like loud music and platinum.
rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Welcome back. Political leader of the Unity of the People, Nkosi Phillips, claims that Budget 2024 mirrors Budget 2023. In an exclusive interview with Tobago Updates, Phillips shared their opinions on the minimum wage, national security, and the allocation that the THA received. Here's more in this story from Ariana Scipio.
UTP political leader Nkosi Phillips believes that the budget for 2024 is a repetition of the budget for 2023. They mentioned that the main differences between them are the minimum wage and the increase in TTPS recruits.
The budget was just, election gimmick coming into the last lap of the election round. I think it was just a gimmick to me.
Expanding on the issue of minimum wage, Phillips expressed that it is inadequate considering the needs and challenges confronted by single-parent families and low-income households. Furthermore, Phillips contends that the new minimum wage does not consider health surcharges, NIS payments, and the increase in prices on food items, asserting that it shouldn't have been raised to a maximum of $30.
I think the increase was not really thought out. It does not speak to the low-level people, and the thumping of the desk when they say that the minimum wage is $20.50. This shows that the government does not respect the low-level citizens and have any change of heart as to how these people live on a daily basis.
Meanwhile, the UTP political leader disagrees with the measures mentioned to enhance national security. They argue that allocating more funds to national security does little to address the issue of crime, which is a major concern, and simply recruiting more people into the TTPS is not an effective solution.
The increase of officers still doesn't speak to the detection of crime, prevention of crime. We have to look at the social issues that surround the crime rate in Trinidad and Tobago. We also have to look at the gang affiliation with government officials as alleged, and we have to look at the fact that the government is keeping a keen eye or close eyes on the illegal activities that are happening in the country.
Phillips raised questions about the recurring allocations for projects like the Roxborough Fire Station, seeking clarification on whether these allocations are intended for station upgrades. They also inquired about allocations directed to the ANR Robinson Airport in connection with the THA allocation in the budget. However, Phillips expressed satisfaction with the allocation of $2.585 billion for the Assembly.
I am happy with what Tobago got in the allocation, because we are seeing in the past 2 years, or the 22 months that the previous administration received the allocation, $300 million of that allocation went back to Trinidad contractors.
Phillips is set to attend Parliament on Friday for the start of the budget debate. They intend to seek responses from different ministries regarding the allocation of funds and the intended use for various development projects. This information will enable them to provide a more comprehensive assessment of the national budget. Candace Jackson, Tobago Updates Television News.
Tobago Carnival is only about 3 weeks away, but the THA has not yet presented a budget for hosting the festivities. Two political leaders are expressing concerns about the uncertainty surrounding the second edition of the Tobago Carnival. More details in this report from Candace Jackson.
During last week's plenary sitting, the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Tasha Burris, was unable to provide a budget for the upcoming Tobago Carnival, which is only 3 weeks away and approaching its second edition. The delay in planning is giving rise to concerns for the political leader of the UTP, Nkosi Phillips.
We are still waiting to hear what is the budgetary allocations. We are seeing poor marketing of the October Carnival, and those are questions that the public needs to know, and we need to get those answers from the Secretary of Tourism.
Also concerned is political leader of the PDP, Watson Duke.
Maybe they don't have. And maybe Carnival will just be a street parade. But if there is no hype in Carnival, there will be no attraction to Carnival.
Duke pointed out that in comparison to the previous year, there appears to be minimal promotion for the Tobago Carnival.
We're not hearing about any acts, any big acts this year, any big singers this year. These are things that invite people to come to Tobago.
Some bands are setting up pop-up booths in various locations around Tobago, and there has been some promotional activity in Trinidad. Nonetheless, Phillips is raising concerns about the effectiveness and strategy behind these promotions.
Was there a budget allocation to that? Who was the one what policies were used to picking the persons to go there? And why is it that we're seeing the same few artists from last year going? Isn't there an upgrade of Tobago artists there? We need to have some checks and balances.
Information received by Tobago Updates suggests that later in the week, the THA will release a statement concerning the financial arrangements for hosting the Tobago Carnival. Candice Jackson, Tobago Updates Television News.
In response to the ongoing concern of gender-based violence in Tobago, the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection's Gender Unit, in partnership with the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, organized a one-day educational and advocacy workshop addressing the issue of domestic violence. Reporter Tanika Cruikshank tells us more in this story.
The world's affected by family violence, domestic abuse, or gender-based violence. According to statistics gathered by the CADV, crimes against women are more reported frequently than those against men, as males are often reluctant to speak up due to concerns about being perceived as unmannerly, as noted by Chief Gender Officer Nigel Phillips.
This workshop aims to provide and develop our stakeholders, both internally and externally, with the right tools to assist the people of Tobago.
The division believed that it is essential to educate more people about the distinction between genders and the significance of gender equality. Deputy Director of Gender Violence, Almekan Santan, emphasized that the partnership between the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection and the CADV is critical, as it has the potential to address the challenges faced by the island.
This session will explore technical attributes, including practical guidelines and steps to improve referral mechanism, processes, and protocols. However, the core, we are gathered here today for something very simple: to prioritize and protect the human rights of all women and girls, men and boys, and inform public a strong referral mechanism and a coherent national plan.
Director of the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Marcus Kisoon, highlighted that the policies would be formulated in the workshop to encourage a community where people can understand what others are going through without overwhelming them with the details about policy information.
It's really a list of ways in which we go about, in one, understanding how people live their lives, more so how Caribbean people live their lives and experience gender-based violence. And then how do we now design interventions, clinical guidelines, procedures to follow that understanding?
The education system lacks instruction on topics such as relationship, gender-based issues, and how to cope with them if one becomes a victim. Assemblyman Dr. Faith B. Israel from the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection has indicated that the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is committed to assisting vulnerable individuals.
To ensure that we marry those areas, to ensure that we marry those theories, to ensure that we marry all of those things that we hear good practice with what really happens on the ground.
If you or a loved one is experiencing domestic, family, or gender abuse, please contact the Tobago Gender-Based Unit at 639-2512. Tanika Cruikshank, Tobago Updates Television News.
Now for the weather forecast from the TNT Met Office. Tonight, expect clear and warm conditions initially, which will gradually transition to cloudy periods with intermittent showers towards midnight. There is a medium to high chance of a few overnight thunderstorms associated with the passage of a tropical wave. Temperatures will drop to 26 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, anticipate cloudy conditions with showers and periods of rain in various locations. Some showers will become heavy and accompanied by gusty winds persisting into the night. Despite these conditions, a yellow level hot spell alert remains in effect. Temperatures will reach 31 degrees Celsius. Seas are moderate with waves measuring between 1.5 to 2 meters in open waters and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. Sunrise is at 5:51 a.m. and sunset at 5:50 p.m. Recapping the headlines, Tobago Carnival is 3 weeks away, but a budget is yet to be revealed. Economist Dr. Vanus James disappointed with the government's plans for economic growth. Politicians say the $3 increase in minimum wage is not enough, and the Division of Health hosts workshop to train workers in dealing with domestic and gender-based violence cases. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards, thanking you so much for joining us and wishing you good night.